It's Hot 93.7, hot937.com. Voices. It's on your airwaves. Big man here. You know, every Sunday we try to bring you some new knowledge. We try to bring you something big that's going on in the community, some things that you need to know. And one topic that I always wanted to discuss, because I've talked about, you know, our need to be entrepreneurs. I've talked about our mindset. We've talked about different things that have been going on in the community and how they've affected our community and what we should be doing, possible things that we should be doing. One thing that I always wanted to address was mental health, because a lot of times in the black community, we tend to shy away from that discussion. For some reason, we look at it as a point of weakness or something like that. And, you know, we need to address it in a lot of cases. I mean, there's people who live every day in our hoods and stuff, and they suffer from some form of PTSD and don't even know it. They don't even know it because of the things that are happening around them. Some people are traumatized and don't know it. And, you know, what we need to do in certain circumstances is maybe seek some type of help, some type of counseling because of the things that we go through on a day-to-day basis. So I have some guests on the line today, and we're going to dig deep. I have Shiani Ghazi, and also Dr. Ghazi's on the line, correct?
Yes.
Oh, man, I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about this because it needs to be discussed. It needs to be discussed. And you know, we shied away from it long enough, and the buck stops here. So let's go. First of all, let's talk about, you know, what you guys provide as service and what you feel about mental health in the inner city communities.
Well, we are Build a Better You Family Services. We opened this agency specifically to provide support for our community. We are I think one of the very few Black-owned mental health clinics in the Hartford area, and we're located in 60 Love Lane. And so, we provide family, individual, and group counseling to the Black community to tell us that we are here, and just to add that cultural aspect to our clients that come in, that core understanding that we understand what you're going through because we're living the same experiences as you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and let me add to Biggmann. And by the way, thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
You know, it's such appreciation to be able to come on and explain some of this stuff to our community, to our people, because like you said earlier, a lot of us don't want to admit that we have mental health issues taking place in our family. Mm-hmm. So what I did, just to add to what Shannon was saying, and by the way, let me just clear up one thing. My title is Grand Master of the Martial Art. And some people call me Dr. Ghazi. So
okay.
I won't get that confused. So anyway, so I started my martial art organization about 30 years ago. And what I saw, one of the things that was so missing, because I always had parents bringing their children to me and asking, well, he has a problem in school. He has a problem at home. That's okay. And I always say, well, where the problem start? What's happening? And they always say to me, well, he just doesn't listen in school. He doesn't listen. So the problem always was the child problem. And over the years, I said, well, you know what? Something got to be wrong here. It can't be. These children can't always be wrong. So let's look at the issue. And finally, I said to one of the mothers, I said, listen, let me tell you something. Martial arts is 80% mental and only 20% physical. So you ask me to teach your child how to fight or teach your child how to act better or discipline your child. Well, it's a mental thing, mostly. So let me show you how that works. And I begin to have a conversation with parents, single parents mostly. And I said, well, ask the question, how is he acting? Where is he getting this from? Where are you seeing this type of behavior at, other than complaints you're getting from the school? And they begin to name different sources, home, streets, that kind of stuff. But the basic thing I had to carefully, not emphasize, carefully introduce them to the fact that we are having mental health issues in our Black community. Mm-hmm. And I know that we don't want to say it because it's become a taboo to us over the years. It makes us feel like we're weak or we're crazy. The first thing people say, well, I'm not crazy. I'm not talking about crazy. And I have to break it down to them. Crazy is a behavior stemming from a mental health condition. So, no, you're not. But let's deal with the mental health condition, which may be depression, anxiety, and all those different, everyday type of mental health issues that we deal with. But we deal with it's denied that those exist, the problem exists. So, took me some time to get the parents to listen. That's not look. I didn't call it mental health at first, but it's a behavior, and that's how the school likes to address it, behavior. Okay, but now, where it's coming from? We need to talk to these kids, find out what's happening with them, and depending on the child's age, they may not explain. They may not be able to verbalize what exactly happened or why they act the way they act, or feeling the way they are feeling. So we need to have some conversation. So I started a conversation with young guys, young boys, kids, and particularly them, asking them, what is happening with you? What do you see? What are you angry about? If you're angry at all, what you frustrated about? If you're frustrated at all, tell me about it. And the conversation got so interesting. These kids, 7, 6, 7, 8 years old, began to educate me on what they were going through. And I listened and took notes. So finally I sit down with a group of parents. I always meet with my parents at least once a month. Say, listen, let me share with you some of the things that your children have been sharing with me. And I said, now, what did that sound like to you? They go back to, well, it's just that he don't want to listen. Okay, what does that sound like to you? As I continued to bring that to them slowly, and finally one parent said to me, and I'll forget this, we having some serious mental health issues out there. Yes, we do. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And we need to learn, I'm sorry about that. We need to address those. And the conversation continued. And finally, some of the parents said, well, my child don't have a mental health issue. Well, we got mental health issues? No, wait, now we ain't saying mental health. Let's look at the issue. Let's look at what the behavior. And let's classify that behavior and what causing that behavior. So you break it down to them. And so I began to do that. So connecting the parent to the reason that the child is acting the way the child acts. And some of these behaviors is cultural. It's cultural. And how the culture, general society culture, interferes with our black culture. And that was another interesting thing too, because a lot of people don't know that we have a culture. A lot of black folks do not know that we have a culture and what that entails. What is culture? And so I had to explain that to them. And then how that affects us, how everything interacts in our everyday lives affects our behavior.
Our mental.
Yep, absolutely.
Everywhere.
And if you're just joining us, just a second. If you're just joining us, it's Hot 93.7, hot937.com. Biggmann here, voices on your airwaves. And I have Dr. Ghazi and Shiana Ghazi. They're with Build a Better You Family Services, correct?
Yes.
All right. And this is on the north end of Hartford. And we're talking about mental health in the black community and how it impacts us and how we don't even know that it exists. And this is where you're getting to the meat and potatoes of it, because we don't even know that it exists, and we're in such denial because what you were saying right there was the point that I made earlier. We're in such denial because there's no mental health issues going on here, because we look at it as a bad thing. It becomes a bad thing when we're in denial about it all the time.
Right. And sorry, just to add on, I think one of the big pieces of denial is because as black people in this country and seeing so much oppression and just being conditioned that we are bad or we are criminals, we don't want to add another load to our lives.
Right.
So I think that's a huge reason why we have such a problem admitting to that we need help, that we might have anxiety, we might suffer from depression. But what I hope that some people can understand, coming out of this conversation, is that some of the conditions like anxiety and depression that we are suffering from is from our circumstances because of the oppression that we're dealing with. I mean, just look at today alone. I mean, that takes a mental toll to see Breonna Taylor, seeing George Floyd being shot down and having no justice to it, seeing nothing being done to solve these issues. That has a mental cycle on all of us. That takes a toll on all of us, and we carry that every day. And then it can carry on to our children, you know, and even, right, and we have to understand our children are watching and seeing our behavior, so it is so important to take care of our own self-care. And some of that can be seeking counseling, seeking guidance on some of your things that you're dealing with, like anxiety. We see a lot of our parents, they suffer from anxiety just with everyday things that they're going through, like carrying a job, like making sure the bills are paid. That has a toll on us, and we have to acknowledge that.
Right.
One of the things that I learned from some of the young people I was been working with, one young man said to me one day, he said, "What's the use of getting an education for?" I said, "Well, good point. You tell me why it's important." He said, "Well, what? Get out there and you still can't find a job. You still gonna be labor. You know. What's the use? I make more money. Just go out there and save me some weed." That's his statement now. And that's wow. Then you can see the degree of anxiety, depression, the pain that these young people are expressing. And so then we begin to talk to the parents. And once you talk to the parents, it's okay, now we got to break through this now. And slowly they begin to open up. Now, I will say now, I'm getting more better acceptance of mental health lately.
Right.
And coming from a younger parent, believe it or not, and this is nothing negative on anyone's age bracket, but I know that I've seen that younger parents in their 20s and 30s are more receptive to this. I was just talking to a parent the other day. She had two young kids. She said, "Yes, I know we have issues." And what happens once you get parents I found anyway, you get them in a situation where they begin to have a conversation. They find out that they're not isolated. They're not alone. Other people have these. Other parents are going through the same thing that I'm going through, as they would say. So the conversation begins. They're going to talk about these things. So that's when we now beginning to share that. And let me go back a little bit. Some years ago, my oldest daughter, Terrain, she's the licensed therapist in the family and also in the business. She and I started a program in Hartford about back in 2006 with the city of Hartford. We were having a lot of young men come to our program, again, with so-called behavior problems in the school. And I introduced the idea of mental health to the city of Hartford. They said, "Okay, explain to me why martial art is a mental health program." And I did. And so we launched our first martial art mental health clinical program, therapeutic program, actually. We call it therapeutic program, not mental health, a therapeutic martial art program. And it went over so beautifully and so successful. At the time, the city of Hartford said, "Oh, okay, great." But at the time, we were the only one that is offering that. And I use the martial art that's a vehicle. Get them something to bring their kids anyway. So that's a vehicle to get them involved. And from there, we can work, and get them there. Now, we are making a lot of progress. We have made a lot of progress as a community. It's not all negative. It's about we are beginning to accept that. As I said earlier, a lot of younger parents under 40 begin to accept that and begin to have dialogue about mental health, and PTSD. I stated in a lot of professionals are saying this, not just me, in the field of mental health. We are suffering from a historical PTSD condition.
Multi-generational.
But multi-generational.
Yes.
And it's been so hard for us to understand and accept that. So we're beginning to do that now.
Yeah, and also,
I think
we also suffer from multi-generational denial. You know,
Absolutely.
once again, if you're just joining us, it's Hot 93.7, hot937.com. It's Voices. Biggmann here. I have Dr. Ghazi on the line. I have Shiana Ghazi on the line. And they're with Build a Better You Family Services. And we're talking about mental health in the black community. And the reason why I made the statement about denial is because I have relatives now, and you made a good point when you were talking about the younger generation, the younger parents, they're more accepting and they're more open to the conversation because I, to this day, have relatives, older relatives, who don't believe in that. Oh, you don't need to go and see. You just this, that, and other. And it's that type of conversation. They're really dismissive of things. Oh, that boy don't need to go see a counselor. He just need this, that, and other.
Yeah.
And it's very, it's very dismissive. And it's that, they look down on it, and it's looked at as a negative thing. And you can't be too prideful to ask for the help that you need because you'll never grow. And so this is a part of growing. This is a part of finding out more about yourself, discovering more about yourself, and being able to identify those things that will help you out in the future.
Absolutely.
Can I add this? Biggmann, I had that conversation. By the way, I am in that older class, and I'm in my 60 club. In my experience, talking with parents and mostly grandparents and so forth, and you're right, I get the same reaction from them. Why, boy, ain't no crazy. He just need a good spanking.
Yep.
Like they say back in those days. But the point is, when you have conversation with them, and still getting to point out some of the things that are happening outside, I think that a lot of them will come on board. They are beginning to see that. It's a hard way. Denial is powerful, man. It's powerful. Mm-hmm. When it's connected to how you see yourself and what you want yourself, how you want society to see you as a black person.
Right.
So it's very, very important. I think,
like I said, that's like another load that they don't want to carry on top of, just being black in America and just all the different things we go through. You don't want to add that other load of, of struggle, I guess, right? So I think that's just, and I'm just thinking back into like people who are in their 60s and probably who went through, and older, who went through the civil rights movement. I think that denial is just another form of a survival mechanism.
Right.
Because they had to act tough. They had to do that. So that's something like a mold that formed in them to survive the time.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right. Real quickly, stop cutting you up, but I remember back in the day when I was a young man, and the thing is that they say that we already been classified as criminals and drug dealers and so forth and so on. So again, we had to maintain that we are better than what you say we are. Mm-hmm. And we don't want to put that. That's a good point.
Right. So I think another part of it is we have to continue to have a higher thinking of ourselves, because I think that's still some condition that we have that prevents us to accept that we do probably have problems, because they don't want to accept any wrong on top of what society has told us. So, and I think, like you said, I want to go back to the multi-generational PTSD, right? If we break that down, I believe there was a psychiatrist or psychologist that said, I can't remember, I think Dr. Wilson, who stated that Black people, we have to understand that we suffer from multi-generational trauma.
Yes.
That it literally, and her theory is, it's literally inherited. Like that saying, multi-generational curses. It's another form of that. But like genetically, we carry trauma, and I don't know if people are spiritual or stuff like that, but I do believe we carry that from one generation to the next. And whether it's biologically or spiritually, but she did, towards the end of her studies, I do think she passed, she did mention that she believes that we do carry this multi-generational trauma that comes from slavery. Then what happened after slavery, I'm sorry, I think I'm jumping one, but Reconstruction era and the injustices, the lynchings that happened. So that generation after generation of our people witnessing and living in that trauma, that passes down. And then each generation, we've come with a new thing. So right now, we're living with the new Jim Crow with mass incarceration. Before then, it was Jim Crow, and then it was the drug era. So it's every era, we have a huge systematic thing going on with our generation. So it keeps carrying on top of the trauma that we've carried from our ancestors, from the person that was before us. So once we really have to analyze that and break that down, I feel like it can be easier for us to accept, we shouldn't look down on mental health. We should embrace understanding mental health, because then it can understand why we're going through what we're going through, to give us an understanding and
this is good one.
Just a justification to be easy on ourselves if we do see that we're suffering from alcoholism or anxiety, depression. We're carrying on a load that not many people in this country, no other ethnic or racial group is carrying, other than probably Native Americans.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So we have to think about that.
Definitely. And it's Hot 93.7, hot937.com. Voices here. Biggmann on the line. And I have on the line, I have Shiani Ghazi and Dr. Ghazi on the line. Now, did you say Grandmaster of Martial Arts?
Yes, Grandmaster of Martial Arts.
Grandmaster of Martial Arts, Dr. Ghazi. I might have to sit down with you and get a little workout in, man, and learn how to rough some people up. But build a better you family services, okay? And I might crack a joke here and there, but this is a serious issue. We're talking about mental health in the black community and how oftentimes we look at it as a weakness. We look at it as a bad thing it's something that no one really wants to talk about, but something that we need to talk about. And something, in some cases, had we addressed early on, we would have avoided certain situations. But we need to address this, and we can't just shrug it off and say, oh, man, and let's understand, when we talk about mental health, we tie it into, now you're trying to say I'm crazy. No.
Yep.
No.
Sure.
That's not what's being said. That's not what's being said here, because that's why we dismiss it. I'm not crazy. We never said you were crazy, but maybe you have some things that you need to talk about with other people. Mm-hmm. And that's a part of your mental health, your mental well-being, discussing it with other people, because sometimes when you're in the middle of the storm, you don't even know that you're in a storm.
Right.
You're sitting in the middle of that storm and you don't even know that you're there. It's that person on the outside looking in like, man, get out of that. Come in. Come on, man. Come on this way. So you need that sometimes. And that's why I have these two individuals on the line, Dr. Ghazi and Shiana Ghazi, because they are working with this stuff on a daily basis, and they've identified, and they've probably seen all types of, all different types of personalities, different types of people suffering from different types of things. And in some cases, it might lead back to the exact same one point or a couple of points. It may lead back to some generational stuff that was never addressed years ago and passed on, and which is what you were saying earlier, Shiani, which is what you were talking about. So we have to come to the table and sit down and humble ourselves enough so that we're taking in what we need to survive out here. This is a part of our survival as a people, and we can't be that dismissive where we're saying, oh, I'm not crazy, I don't need to sit down and talk. It doesn't mean crazy. But asking for help is something that is a necessity in some cases. And we have to know that we need that help. You can't do it all by yourself. No. If you could, then we wouldn't have these different professions out here.
Man, let me excuse me, interrupt you.
No, go right ahead.
Let me interject one point here that I think is so significant what we're talking about in terms of intergenerational stuff. So often I talk to parents, and I'm talking about older people, and maybe 40 that old, but 40, 50, 60 years old. And I found that one of the ways they don't want to talk about this stuff because it's painful and they have secrets in their family. Our family have lots of secrets that about abuse, sexual abuse, battery abuse. I mean, you name it. Alcohol is just a solution. Try to make the pain go away, numb the pain. And so these are the things that we need to talk about, and a lot of people don't want to work. Like for young women. I was having a conversation with some parents about a couple months ago. And it comes up all the time. One girl said, I can't talk about that. I said, why? Because my mama told me if I told that I was raped by my uncle, she would beat me, boom, boom, that kind of stuff. And it's been a secret.
Or like the saying, what happens in my house stays in my house.
Right. Right.
stuff like that covers stuff that's probably going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
So it goes on. And I know that personally because my family kept a secret for, my goodness, probably over 50, 60 years for my grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
And these things, these secrets are very powerful things in the family that you got to keep it that way because you don't want to be seen differently than other people. So that's the issue.
Yeah, and just talking about, going back to what you said, Biggmann, I know, like, my dad, Dr. Ghazi, he talks about different warfare that's going on. And just to relate back to what's going on today, right, and what's going on in the Black community today, my dad always talks about there's different type of warfare, right? Spiritual warfare, mental warfare, and physical, right? So I think a big thing is maybe there wasn't such a big emphasis back then to help with mental health issues in the Black community because that was another tool of mental warfare happening on our people. Because if they went and talked about their problems, maybe they wouldn't be doing drugs. And going back to the big crack and cocaine era back then, that's probably a reason why they never really advocated for that in the community because that was another form of them breaking down or oppressing our people. So we have to break that down too, that this is probably not a nuance. Maybe that was systematic.
Wow.
Yeah, purposely done.
And see, it's this hot937.com. Voices here, Biggmann here, and I have Dr. Ghazi, also Shiana Ghazi on the line. They're with Build a Better You Family Services, okay? They're one of the very few Black-owned mental health agencies, and they're located in the north end of Hartford, and we're discussing mental health in the Black community and the reason why it's such those few words, mental health awareness, those three words are like bad words. Someone would rather you curse them out than to tell them that they need some mental health help. And so we need to address this because maybe it will solve some of the problems that we're having. Maybe it will stop this ongoing cycle where you're feeling like the family is cursed or whatever because this keeps happening over and over and over again. Maybe it's because you're trying to run away from something that you need to attack head on.
Absolutely. And Big Man, let me say this too. Going back to what Shannon just mentioned about the different type of warfare. And when parents bring their child to my school, my dojo, I just laid out to them. Listen, I'm going to teach them how. I don't have to teach you how to fight. That's not my purpose. My purpose is to teach you how to defend yourself. Now break it down. Defend yourself from what? Defend yourself from three major warfare. Spiritual, and I explain what that is. I'm not fighting no hokey pokey stuff. Spiritual, mental, and physical. I tell them, I don't know how to teach him how to defend himself physically. He's a healthy young man. He got to fight. But somebody hit him, he got to fight back. That's the thing. But, you know, I don't have to tell him that. But I want to teach him how to defend himself from the other warfare that he's not aware of. One of the biggest reasons that we as African people were conquered because we didn't understand the spiritual warfare. They took our spirituality and turned it and they weaponized it. See? And it turned into religion. And so I'm not getting into that now. I'm just saying that's how it happened. So now once we understand what that means, we will understand what's going on with us in the community, how we've been attacked, and how to defend from that when our family's been attacked economically. When I mentioned the four major categories, I'm talking about mental, I said spiritual, mental, and physical. So there's other subcategories within those three. And you can break it down economic, you can throw in there. You can throw it with a major one. How that affect us mentally or spiritually. And, when we talk about chemical warfare, how that affect us mentally and physically. See, all these different warfare that have been launched upon us, and we've not been aware of it. Why do I want to look this way? What's going on with me? See, so all these things I try to break down in my class so they can understand it. I always believe that once you know how you've been attacked, you know how to defend yourself from it.
And a big aspect is your mental warfare, mental psyche, and just connecting the different things. Like, for example, let's look like in the hood, right? We have, I feel like every aspect of the hood can affect the psyche, and it was structured to do so.
Right.
Right? You go down the street, bust your car because the roads, poorly infrastructure in the community, so the roads, busting your roads. Now you're stressing about the car, right? You if you live in an apartment building, you have people above you that's banging and does have no care for anyone living above you or below you. So that's more stress, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you have to, if you're working in the COVID times, you're stressing because you're an essential worker. And, kudos to the people who are essential workers out there, because thank you so much. But you're an essential worker, so you have to stress with that. Then you have the kids with the schooling. And then you have the food, chemical warfare, right? Chemical warfare. You have the food. It's not a secret they don't have a Whole Foods in the hood. There's no organic foods. Why do we go down the street? There's a fast food restaurant, because those chemicals in that food also affect your mental. So it's all connected. It's all connected. And the sugar.
Absolutely. If you go to a store, and I tell parents this, and buy a can of soda, Pepsi, and read the label of sugar on that. I kid you not, in the last 10 years, they added for example, I think it was 35 milligrams of sugar. Some of these things have like 65 milligrams of sugar in it. Do you know what sugar does to that child? Why he can't be still? To
Wow.
that parent?
Yeah.
So this is the thing we look at in terms of chemical warfare. So, it's a lot going on out here. We just got to be more. We want to make sure our organization be one of the organizations. Let's not give our people the same traditional European-based therapeutic health, and that's bring the culture involved in it. I've been in mental health for about 30 years as well, and I'm always arguing with my colleagues about how important the culture is when we're trying to help a person mentally in therapy, counseling, and that's what we're doing. We're mixing the culture. We bring together, and I insist that we have people that look like us helping us with our mental health issues.
Yeah.
And that's very important.
I think it is, because it's Hot 93.7, hot937.com. Voices on your airwaves. Biggmann here. I have Dr. Ghazi on the line. I have Shiani Ghazi on the line. And they're with Build a Better You Family Services, okay? One of the very few black-owned mental health agencies is located in the north end of Hartford. And what you said was really powerful, because in most instances, now, here's an identity thing. Because when people feel, when they see someone or they're in front of someone who looks like them, who can actually identify, because you may be able to identify with some of your clients more so than a non-black person would, because you may be able to identify with the exact experience in some way, shape, or form. You understand? Because a lot of our struggles are not that far apart, and a lot of them are identically the same.
Absolutely.
We have struggles that are twins. All right. Oh, I know exactly how that looks, because my struggle looks like this. So we have to understand, and I think it's so important to say over and over and over again, there is nothing wrong with sitting down and talking to someone about mental health. There is absolutely nothing wrong with it. And so we have to be able to identify that part of it and move forward and seek the help that we actually need for these things. And I think that's where we miss the big picture. That's where we miss the call for it. That's where we miss a lot of things when it comes to that. And so, that's why once I got the call and once I got the message from Shiani, I was like, absolutely, let's get you guys on the air and let's talk about this right now. Not now, but right now.
Right now.
We got to get you guys on ASAP. And it was very important, because this is one of the main topics that I had on the list to check off. Like, this has to be discussed, not one time, but multiple times. So even if need be, to have you guys back on again, that's not a problem. But right now that we're on here, we have to put it out there and let people know there's nothing wrong with sitting down with someone to talk about mental health. And the plus in talking to Dr. Ghazi or Shiani Ghazi is that they look like you. They understand you. They understand your struggles because they've been through those things. You know, a lot of times you may see someone where they are now and think, oh, you wouldn't understand, but you don't know their backstory.
Right.
And so, and most times they start out, well, you wouldn't understand, you know, you being in this and this, that. How do you know that? You know, and sometimes you may be able to sit down and break down your life story with them, and your life story is probably worse than their life story. You know, so we have to understand the importance of it as voices. It's Hot 93.7, hot937.com. I have Dr. Ghazi, Dr. Ghazi's on the line. Shiana Ghazi is on the line. Build a Better You Family Services is the name of the business, and it's one of the very few Black-owned mental health agencies located in the north end of Hartford.
Yes.
And ladies and gentlemen, you need to understand why. And if you haven't heard enough here, we got more time to talk about this. Now, first of all, before we go any further, for those people who are interested and maybe, you know, they may be saying right now, you know what, this is something I might want to reach out to them and see what's going on. How can they reach you?
Yeah, so you guys can contact us. Our number is 860-310-5853. We also have a website, buildabetteryoullc.com. And you can even follow us on Facebook and IG or Instagram, Build a Better You LLC. And you can contact us through there. Or we're located in 60 Love Lane here in the north end of Hartford.
Yep. And so, I mean, even being there, you understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
We could have, let me share it with you. We could have been anywhere in the city of Hartford, in West Hartford, in East Hartford. But we chose to come here. This is where I grew up as a child, in the north end of Hartford. And I see too often people just wandering around, don't know what's going on, you know, what's happening to them. So we want to come here. Let me also mention to you that I mentioned martial art. Martial art is a vehicle we use. We also use other activities.
Yeah.
That Shelley can name those activities too, or too late. That we also offer. So you didn't just come here just for counseling. You also come for counseling that is integrated into what we are doing. Offering.
So, like, we combine different therapeutic programs. So we have, like, therapeutic martial arts, which is one. We also have dance class. We have yoga. We have a drama club that's happening. Actually, our drama club is starting for youth, 7 to 10, October 12th. We have our yoga class, adult yoga classes, October 19th. That's starting here. And our martial arts class is already happening, but it's a rolling enrollment. So you can come. But many of our programs are rolling enrollment. So just, you know, call in 860-310-5853, and we'll list the different programs if you're interested in any of them. But we also have individual counseling, family counseling, group counseling, African drumming. But yeah, we combine the therapeutic and the counseling aspect to the arts, because a great way that, you know, a lot of people know, a great way to release stress or any type of thing that's going on is physical or arts, physical activity or arts.
Wow.
So we like to combine the therapeutic aspect to one of those arts or activities.
It's voices. It's Hot 93.7, hot937.com. Dr. Ghazi on the line, Shiana Ghazi, Build a Better You Family Services. All right, we're talking about mental health in the Black community. And right now, we're talking about their organization because it's in the north end of Hartford, right on Love Lane. And you know, if you're from the north end of Hartford, you know exactly where Love Lane is. You know exactly where it is. And like Dr. Ghazi said, they could have chosen to be anywhere else, but they're right here in the community. So it's not like you can't say, oh, well, I got to go all the way over there. Come on.
Right.
What we have to do is stop the excuses first. We have to be open enough to understand, because you can't see a change until you want the change. And I don't mean just, oh, yeah, I just wanted to change. No, you need to want it bad enough to do everything possible to make it happen. And so you can't say, yeah, I wanted that, but I don't want to do that. Maybe you need to do that. You need to sit down and talk to someone about and make sure that you are right mentally, and it's not talking about being crazy. You might have some stuff that's holding you back. You might have some stuff that's causing you to move in fear when you should be steamrolling ahead. And so this is a vehicle to help you get over those hurdles, because you guys, I don't know if you know, but a lot of times I talk about entrepreneurship and different things like that. And I feel like most people shy away from stuff like that because it's a mental thing.
Yeah.
They think, no, it's not going to happen for me. It's not going to happen for me. And see, when you see an opportunity or someone tells you about something that you can do and you say it's too good to be true, that's a mental weakness as well, because you subliminally don't think that good things are supposed to happen for you.
Come to you. Yeah, I am not. Like, I am. That's the importance of I am. I can do this.
Right.
Yeah, self-esteem. Yeah.
And what I've said on the air a few times, I've said it, I said, listen, if you feel like, oh, good things aren't supposed to happen to me, or that's never going to happen. Look, take some sticky notes and put them on the mirror, and when you're washing your face and stuff, read that sticky note to yourself. Just look yourself in the face and say, I can make it happen today. If it doesn't happen today, keep saying it until it happens. And then put another one up there for your next goal. We have to speak it into existence, and some people think that sounds crazy.
Right. And just and another big thing, too, that shies away a lot of people in our community to not get help is because of the cost. So we found a great way that to help people up with the cost is that we take insurance. We even take Husky insurance. So we thought that was a great way, a great effort, a great thing that we did to definitely pull in traffic from our community. I know that's a big reason. Another big reason why a lot of people shy away from getting help because of the cost. So we do take insurance and we do take Husky. So definitely call and we have a scaling sale. So really, if you're covered, a lot of people are covered mostly or fully, and that's just another way to avoid another excuse not to come and get the help you need.
Look at that. And all that money that y'all pay for insurance, and you think all you're supposed to do is go for a physical and go get your teeth cleaned.
No.
If you don't go and use the rest of your benefits, all that money coming out of your check, man,
Right.
it's Voices. It's Hot 93.7, hot937.com. Biggmann here. I have Dr. Ghazi on the line. I have Shiana Ghazi on the line. Build a Better You Family Services, man. Black-owned mental health agency. It's one of the few around here, and it's in the north end of Hartford, right on Love Lane. And my goodness, people. See, we say that there's, oh, well, we don't have access to this, that, and other. Oh, really? Oh, really? It's right there. You have access to it. See, you have access to these things. And before we even go any further, Shiani, I want to thank you for reaching out to me, because
Thank you for having us.
This is something that I really wanted to talk about on the air. And even if we just start the discussion and people call up and yo, oh, I heard you talking about this, whatever. I don't want to say my name. Look, you don't have to say your name. Just get the information and go get helped out. That's all we're asking for. That's all that we're asking for. Humble yourself enough to seek the help that you need, because I feel like this stops a lot of people from being great.
Absolutely.
It stops a lot of people from being great.
Let me just put one more note in there, and but I have to go in a few. But I wanted to say to the audience, if you're not sure, just call us and say, listen, I something's going on, I don't know. We don't have to mention your name. You don't have to mention your name. Just say what it is. And we're going to be having the open discussion group, which I found to be so helpful for adults. Just come in, we get talk. You don't want to say anything, you don't say anything. Just listen, So come in. We have them on Wednesday night for adults, and just talk about these things. Let's talk culture. And we got to talk culture, Biggmann. We got to let people know who they are, who we are. You talked about self-esteem earlier. Biggest way that I've learned to help a person or a child, anybody, to feel good about themselves, to know who they are. Know your history. If you don't know your history, you don't know yourself. So stop want to be like somebody else. And you know what I'm talking about. Learn who you are, and you'll feel a lot of culture. Believe you'll find a lot of pride in that. And once you know how great we are, and I'm not saying no make feel good black talk. I'm talking facts. I'm talking about historical stuff here. You start looking into our history, you'll be totally amazed who we are. And those who try to keep us down, keep us crooked and drugged up, they know who we are too.
Right.
They want to learn they don't want us to know who we are.
Absolutely.
This is the key. And it's going to happen, though. And it's happening. And, one of my pet things, too, one thing I do, I'm a history buff, man. I've been studying history since I was a child. And I know what's out there and who we are. So these are things we talk about. Before I go on any further, I want to say one other thing. I want to mention my therapeutic daughter. the license, she's LLC, LCSW, Terrain Jameson, and she's our lead clinical director here at Bill Better You Family Services. So,
and we even have a Spanish-speaking one as well to come down here as well.
Wow.
Yep. And so again, just to put the number out, we're 860-310-5853. Please give us a call, and we'll talk to you, and we'll love to hear from you. And our website, buildabetteryoullc.com, and also on Facebook, you can find our page, Build a Better You LLC. But yeah, we'll love to hear from you guys and contact with you guys, and yeah. And I don't know if you want to end the conversation with your favorite quote that he based the Build a Better You, the name for it, but I don't know if you want to.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't paint it.
if you want to say it, absolutely.
I would say, Terrain and I got together about 10 years ago, and we came up with this idea. We're trying to think what should we call our this organization. And I had been quoting a poem in my karate school for years that I heard from somebody. I don't remember who the author of this poem. It went like this. God said, build a better you. I'll ask how. The world's such a cold, dark place, so complicated now. And I'm just one. There's nothing I can do. And God replied in all his wisdom, just build a better you.
Wow. Powerful. Powerful. And we're going to end on that note. Listen, I want to thank you guys so much. Dr. Ghazi, Shiana Ghazi, thank you guys so much for calling up and giving us some wisdom and giving us the reasons why we should, if we have family members or if we're struggling with our own demons, all right, take the time out and check out Build a Better You Family Services right on Love Lane in Hartford, man. All right, it's a Black-owned mental health agency.
Yes.
10 Love Lane, is it?
60 Love Lane.
60 Love Lane, I'm sorry. 60 Love Lane, make sure you stop by. Whatever it is that you're dealing with, make sure you stop by. All right? This is a resource, a necessary resource in our community. Thank you guys so much for calling in. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and we'll love to come back if you want to have another conversation about mental health. We'll love to.
Absolutely, and that's going to happen. That's going to happen. I have your contact information, so I will be in touch with you.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
It's Voices. It's Hot 93.7. Keep it right here.